Hello everyone, we're going to do a female this time. We're going to start with the shirt and then we're going to do the dress afterwards. I'm going to use the avatar they already have in here, which you could load up by hitting avatar editor, and I prefer the one down here. It's closer to a game model just because it's more voluptuous. So just select it, and after it loads up, close that avatar dialog, and there you go. So this is the model I will use for this demo. The reference I have is this. So it's a little bit more medieval-ish, more Renaissance kind of. There's a corset with it and a dress attached, and it has a nice shirt. I'm not going to do exactly this. It will just basically be more of a button-up shirt. It'll just have like these little ploofs on the shoulder, and it'll be a little bit baggier on the arm area. I might add a collar, I might not. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. The dress will be in the next demonstration. That's my reference that I'm going to use. So I'll close that, and I have the model to start from now. So to start with, I'll start with just the upper body. I turn off the grid in the 2D view. You could turn it on or off if you want. You could just right click here and go to 2D pattern windows properties, and you have all the properties for this window. So if you could turn on the grid or turn off the grid. It's your preference. I turned it off this time. I'll put it back on for this demonstration. So to start with the shirt, I'm just going to make a square basically. I'll use the shadow mesh to get the overall size of it. So this is the front of the shirt. So after I draw it out, I'm going to add a fabric for this. I'll name this shirt. And I'm going to change the color to a darker material to match more what the reference was. And I'll add specularity just because it'll be a little too dark now. So let me apply that on. And there we go. Let me also change the particle distance down to 15 and the rendering thickness and collision to 2. The good thing when we're using an avatar mesh in here, they also already have the arrangement points already added. So if I turn it on, they have a lot of them. I'm just going to use the arrangement points to place this on just to get used to them a little bit more. You could just click it on and you could just place it on whichever one you think is most accurate. This is going to be her left side of the shirt, so that's a good start. I don't really need them, but they're there. After I have this already created, I'm going to symmetry paste it. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to symmetry paste it. So after I have it, I'm just going to line it up a little bit better because they're overlaying onto each other. So for the shirt, I kind of know how to lay it out, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I need basically the spot for the neck. So I'm going to add a vertex there, and I can slide this down. Because this is basically where the collar will be. This is where the shoulder seam will go, and then there will be an arm edge. So I'm going to add a vertex here, and then move this over. The shirt is a little too wide probably on her. So this is where it's going to go around on top of her shoulder. This is going to be her arm hole. So I'm going to smooth this out a little bit by adding a curve, using the curve option up here at a curve point. So this will be one of the arm sleeves. I'm not too worried that it's not accurate or not fitting correctly yet. It's not a big concern of mine. And then I'm going to make the back of it. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to mirror paste it for the back. I'll turn on the arrangement points again. I'll select this piece and apply it to the back and turn off the arrangement points. Slide it down. Slide it around. And then for the back version, it won't be the collar won't go down nearly as far as like a V-neck or a button-down shirt. I'll raise that up. So after I have that, let me just copy this and then mirror it over. I'll symmetry paste it on the other side. After that, I'm going to just stitch everything in. And then the collars. So this is the front of the shirt, this is the back. So I'm going to just weld it in there, and the front to the front. So right here is where the shirt would overlay. I'm going to add buttons here basically. Since this is going to be stitched into this, it's not going to be like, so this isn't a shirt seam, so it's going to be actually stitched in with buttons. So I'm going to add fake holes basically. So I'm going to add one of them, turn off thickness rendering, and just check out scale. That's a little too big. And then let me make it a little shorter. So I'm going to copy this and just paste it and just count it down basically. So that was one. While I hold shift, it moved it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll move down 6. I don't need too many. So I'm going to paste another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Paste again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. Paste and just do it until it goes to the bottom. If this is a button-up shirt, I'm going to stitch these in. So, like a shirt, this would be a button going inside of a button. Depending which side you want to overlay on which side, I'm going to make the right side underneath the left side. So I'm going to slide this out just slightly. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to move this over. So basically I'm going to stitch this into that. I'm going to stitch those in. So I'm just going to stitch the top ones. I don't have to stitch all of them. It's just to get the idea of it. And they're all reversed. I'm going to stitch them in. I might leave the top one unstitched. And I'll see how that looks. And after I have that on there, I'm going to save it first before I simulate it. So if there's any issues, any problems, I have a backup of it. So I'm going to just save it as shirt 01 base and just save here. And now I'll simulate. So I forgot to stitch in the back, so let me undo that and just stitch in the back really quickly. The back actually looks really long, so I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. And now I'll simulate. So it's not the best looking right now. It's a little baggy on here. It's big in general, but I didn't adjust any of that yet. So first thing I notice is this is really low. I'm going to raise up all of this actually. I'm going to raise up the buttons also. I'm going to add one more button on the bottom. And stitch that in. So okay, right now it's really baggy on here. I'm going to just make it fit a little bit better. So I'm going to pinch this inward to make it fit her waist a little bit better. Same with the back. And it's getting all these folds in the back, so I'm going to make the back actually a little bit thinner also. Also, this shirt, I'm going to unsimulate. This part is coming above this part, so I'm going to just move this out. Just resimulate it on top. I'm going to put back on the thickness rendering and just view it. So I'm also going to check up here the pressure option to see where it's tight, where it's not too tight. So the bottom is really tight. And it's not too bad everywhere else. It's just right here is too tight. So I could live with that. This is going to be, the corset's going to cover up all this area, so I'm not too concerned. I'll make it a little bit shorter though. Now that I moved it all up, I think it's up a little too high on her. So just play around with it, get it how you want it to look. I'm going to delete this top one since I'm not even using it and move it down. So yeah, this is just getting it to fit a little bit better, just making it work. I'm going to just make this side a little bit softer of a curve, so I'm going to pull this in, and also the back. It'll make it a little bit tighter on her. Let me try something with the middle. I'm going to move this inward. This collar seam is a little bit too wide for her, so I'm going to move that over just slightly. The shirt is a little too short, so I'm going to move it back down. I liked it better before. So I'm going to move it down. I'm going to make another one of these. Copy it and then paste it. And then stitch this in. And it might be a little too short at the bottom now since she has bigger hips. Let me select all the mesh and change the particle distance to 13. And then the rendering thickness to make sure it's all set the same. Let me pull this in a little bit. The sleeve is a little bit too baggy, so I'm going to raise both of these up and move this over until it's a little tighter on the sleeve. Just find whatever works the best for you. Move that over, move that over. Doesn't have to be exact ever. I just want a fairly tight shirt for her, so when I put these straps on and then the corset on, it'll overlay it. It'll be really nice. That works pretty well for now. So let me just save this again. I'll just save right over the base. And let me do the sleeves. So for the sleeves, I'm just going to draw out a square. Not a big deal. I'll figure out the sides and everything afterwards. So I'll just do the left arm first. I'll put the arrangement points on, select this, and then just select on top of it. This is just to get you guys used to using the arrangement points before you put it on your own avatar, to know where you'd want to place them or not. So select the top edge, it's a little long, and then move this up, and then I'll just make this go down to the wrist and pull it up. So I have to stitch it into this, so I need at least 1 and 2 edges, which means I need a split in the middle here. So before I do that, let me just see the distance on this. This is 172. This is basically 173. This is basically 188. So the total is, after I select both, you can see right on the bottom right of my mouse cursor the number. It's 360. So I want this about 360. It's at 388 right now. So let me move it over. So that's about accurate for what it is. I'm going to add 1 vertex now, just to split it off in the half. So I could stitch on half and half. So I'll just weld this into this, and this side, I'll select the top. Since I know this is the middle area, the top of the arm, I'll select closer to this, and I know this is the top of the back, so I'll select there. After I have it, I'll just simulate it on, and just place it on really quickly. And let me stitch the side and the side of the arm in, which I didn't do. So there we go. So after it pulled up on the shoulder, it's really short right now. Let me select the bottom edge and just pull that down. So that gets about the sleeves length. After I have this, I'm going to just copy this and then symmetry paste it again. So copy it, symmetry paste, so this will be the back of the arm. And then after it pastes it, places it, but doesn't place it exactly correct. After I placed it, I'm going to stitch it in the arm. So this is the top, and this is the top, and this is the top, and this is the top of the back. So I could just simulate it now. Sorry, the sleeves are really baggy. I know that. I'm not too concerned because I want to make this ploofy up here, a little bit more baggy up here, and a little bit baggier on the bottom, so I want to thin in the middle. So what I'm going to do is just modify the arm a little bit. It might look weird in this view, but it'll work. So I'm going to add a couple verts. I'm going to add one here. Let me just say this at 75, so I could do it the same on this side. 75. So they line up, so because it's already stitched in here, so it won't mess anything up. I'm going to move these down now. And then I'm going to move these out to give it a little bit more bagginess. Slide it over and move this up. So this is going to get a lot longer than what this was, which is going to make this add folds here basically because it's pinching into a lot thinner area, so it's going to add folds. And I'm going to round this off now. So I'm going to pull this out and pull this out. And move these down slightly. And I want the arm thinner, and I want it baggier at the bottom. So let me add 2 more verts at the end. So let's say 60% and then 60% on this other side. Pull those down. And then I'm going to tuck these in. I want to thin on the arm. We'll just see how that looks. So slide it out, just place it a little bit better. After you mess with the mesh, it changes it up a little bit. If it's on there approximately, it should work. It'll be a little fighting, but it'll work. So there we go. It's a little ploofier up here, and it's a little bit baggier down here, but not as baggy as I want. Once I add the sleeve cuff, you'll see it happen. It'll get a lot tighter. So the sleeve cuff is going to be really small because it's going to pull everything in. So after I placed it, it's right there. Let me put the arrangement points on again and assign it to here. So before I do anything right now, it's all fighting in there. Let me select this bottom edge and make the sleeve shorter until I weld it in and simulate it. Then I'll make it longer afterwards. So this piece I'll make a little bit wider. And then I'll stitch the left side into the right side. And I'm going to stitch this top piece into this. Turn off the arrangement points and simulate. So it's going to pull everything in and it'll make it a little bit baggier. I could probably make this thinner, and this I could pull back out to be longer, which might have been too much too quickly. Simulated, move it back out, simulated. So let me do the same thing for the other side now. So copy this, and then symmetry paste it again. And stitch this into this. Select this mesh and then just place it in here. And let's just see if it works. There we go. So okay, so far it's coming along. Just save it as much as you can remember after you do something. It crashes, but not nearly as much as some other programs. And if you need to go back, at least you have a backup if you mess something up as you go forward. Let me change the length of the arm now, a little bit longer. I still want it a little bit baggier on the bottom. It's still not pinching in enough in the middle, so let me pull that in. And it might be a little too low. And let me round these off. Some of this stuff isn't necessary, but it adds a little bit more touch to it. Let me pull this up some more. It's easy to edit on the fly. You can play with it, just get it how you want. The particle distance I want to set to 13, and I forgot to change everything. So let me just check everything's at 13 and the rendering collision and thickness is at 2. Cool. So for a base shirt, it's getting there. Pulling this down, I need to add the collar still. So let me add a collar on top of this. I don't know if I want a collar that's folding in, but for now we'll just add something. Let me add that. So this is the whole collar. This will be like the front left, this will be the front right, this will be the back area in the middle. So rotate it around, then put it here. Let me see if they have an arrangement point set up. So I can select this and place it on the back. Turn off the arrangement points, and it has to be a lot longer. Let me free stitch this into here and the back end. So this is that area, and I believe this is the front. Nope. Let me stitch this again. And there we go. That's the top. Let me try one more time. That is correct. But let me just double check the distance. So this plus this is 261.83. And I need to have it times 2. So 261.83 times 2 is 523.66. So I need this to be that. 523.66. I'm at 560. So let me make this shorter. 520. Let me move this out. 525. 522. 523. That's pretty close. So now let me just free stitch this in. So that's that, and then the back, which I could just add a middle point so I know. So free stitch the back and there we go, and then the back end, the other back. There we go. Should just sim in correctly. There we go. So I want this collar to fold down, so let me put a split in the middle here. Makes it a little bit easier, and then let me strengthen this. Makes it a little bit easier to work with like this. So after I have it on here, let me go to the fold arrangement option, select this line, and then I'm going to fold it down. And then unstrengthen it, and then simulate it. So we have a collar. I don't want it so stiff, so I'm going to turn off the fold rendering, and I'm going to bulge it out a little bit. I want this to go up a lot higher. So I'm going to add a split in the middle here, and a split in the middle on this side. And I'm going to move those in. This is just making it a little bit more interesting, just playing around with it. So there we go. Let me just select everything again and make sure everything's set to the same particle distance, collision. And there we go. So okay, I got a nice collar on here. I got the sleeves, the shirt, and everything I wanted. The back is a little long, so I'm going to shorten up the back. I'm just going to fake it because there's getting all the wrinkles there, which I don't want. Let me make this a little shorter, a little tighter. Or let me make it a little bit wider. So the wrinkles aren't so much. It's so wrinkly right here. Both the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt are really wrinkly in this area. So I could pull this down. Which is what I want. now let me pin the bottom of these. So grab the pink shirt up here and then pin the whole bottom of this and then this. I don't want that to move. I want to play around with these folds right now. I just want a little bit not as folded right there. Alright, I like that a little bit better. Let me remove all those pins. Select this tool again, hold Control and just drag out. So okay, overall that's the shirt. Let me save this again. Let me add some stitch work onto it. So around the sleeve for the button holes here. So there'd be an internal line basically going up this. And then around the sleeve there would be one. So let me just select both of those and then offset an internal line. Let me offset it by 8. And then on the bottom of the shirt there would probably be a seam line. So let me do 8 again. And then on the front here, 8. Select all those internal lines. I'm going to offset a second one on those. So reverse. So I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it on all of them. I'm going to unselect this one. So I'm just going to do these. Offset an internal line, and then 5 is fine. I don't want it on top of this. I'm going to delete that one. So I'm just going to put one there. Just put them around there. I'm not going to put them on this actual design. I'm going to place these a little bit more accurately in the middle when I offset it just a tiny bit. This vertex to make it a little slanted. These are a little bit not centered now. And I just want to move them over. And then let me change the settings. I actually like the shirt falling down here, so I'm going to repin that so it doesn't move when I hit sim. Alright, that works. And then let me just check these seam lines. So the outer one I'm going to change to 360, and I'm going to turn off the fold rendering, and the inner one I'm going to put to 0. And just see what it looks like. It's coming outward. So let me change this to 0 and this to 360. And that looks more for what I want. I want this to feel like it's getting pushed in, like it's a seam line getting stitched in, double stitched to give it strength. So what I did was I made the outer one 0 and unfolded off, and I made the inner one 360 with it on. So let me just make these the same. So select both of those, 360 on, and the outer one. And the outer one will be 0 and off. And then sim it. And you can subtly see them everywhere. And let me do the one here too. So let me change this to 0 actually. I don't want it to roll outward. There we go, and then this one will be 360 and turn it off. And then now I'm going to offset internal line on this one. This one was 360 and off, and I want this one to be 0 and on. I'm going to slide it over just slightly. Let me put this on the other side. There we go. It feels a little bit wide there, so I'm going to make this a little bit tighter in everything. So select all that and just slide it over just slightly. And make these a little tighter too. Same with the buttons, I'm going to put them a lot closer to this edge. And luckily I have symmetry on, so it's doing the other side as well. So you don't have to do both sides at the same time. And there we go. I'm going to unstitch this bottom one because it's getting pulled too much. A lot of people don't button the bottom one too. It's usually what is tucked in. Okay, so I have some detail work around it. You could always add different things if you want. If you want the color stand up a little bit more, you could play around with it and just make it work. If you want it a little bit stiffer, you could put a different fabric material on it just to make it stand up. This edge, I could probably change the angle so it's not about making it swoop inward. Let's just see what happens. If I change this to 0, it's getting sucked inward. If I change this to 360, it's going to come out. So let me change this to 270. I think that's what it was at. And it's just fine. So yeah. Okay, so for the shirt, that's all I need to do. I'm going to do the blouse on top of this. I could probably put a little bit more detail in this. All these buttons I'll probably add in Maya afterwards and place them on top to add the details. Same with the cuffs. If I put like a little button on one of these, or if I want to add detail, I could do it in ZBrush. I could probably add another seam line down here, but I could do that afterwards on detail pass. But let me save this. Over the, not over the old one, but as the details, and then just save it. It's always nice to have the original and then detail pass so you could go back to it. So for the shirt, I think I'm happy with it for now until I put the actual corset on. Before I finish this, I'm going to turn off these pins I placed. I don't like having pins on my model at the very end. So let me sim it really quickly and then let it go. Cool, and then save right over that. Cool, guys. All right, everyone, let's go on to the dress.